let's go through these things. Drawings. Jaws. I had not studied white sharks. I was just looking at sharks. Later on, I'll tell you about working with an ichthyologist. Well, that became the T-shirt. And then Chrissy gets it. So these were just sort of rough sketches of, okay, girl gets eaten, blah, blah, blah. That's, yeah. Oh, and then the Kitten Kid. Oh, yeah, big shark, little kid in a raft. I directed some of this sequence, the shot where he gets it. And didn't quite do this, and we never really did this shot, but that's pretty cool. Ben Gardner, and Ben gets it. Oh, yes. Okay, we did it differently. Oh, there he goes. So it's pretty graphic here. But the studio got the idea of what the heck we were doing. This is an interesting sequence. The cage. We did end up shooting a lot of this stuff with real sharks. We got a few shots. Anyway, the cage, and then you see the size relationship. And this was a big thing, how big to make the shark. But we wanted to borrow it. This is interesting. Hold on a second. Stephen laughed at this. How can you do a shot from inside the shark? Well, I did Jaws 2. I was a designer, directed second unit. On 3, I was the director. And now I can move inside the shark. Because Simon Cartondale was in it. And I got that stuff, Stephen. I'm sorry. You know. Okay. And I could go on about these, but I don't want to waste a lot of time talking about it. Now, you see, this ends up a little bit Moby Dickish. I didn't realize we had guns. This was just real preliminary action stuff. It sort of worked, though. Yeah, that's how Quint got it that time. Boom. So it's a shark, breaking boats, getting... And then in the book, yeah, Quint gets tied up and, you know, we did it differently. Oh, goodbye. There he goes, Quint. All right, we'll stop a second. Okay, I'm going to pause it. We're going to take all those drawings and we're going to have a meeting. Later, I did this sculpture. It's about 4 feet. I did it in clay. It's, you know, like a half shark. It's a bas-relief. And I found an incredible ichthyologist in San Francisco, Leonard Campagno. Just a brilliant kid at the time, and he had discovered 2 sharks. And he's a world-renowned shark expert, especially on white sharks. And so he really helped me detail every little detail of the shark. So we got it right on. And then when we got an okay to do the movie, I made it 6 times bigger. I had big drawings and I had sculptures and stuff. So, okay, where are we now? So we go from here to what? Is that it? What? Oh, it's longer. Oh, yeah, here's the thing. What I have, 30 feet? Okay, just briefly. You want to give this studio, now we're going to make it an executive decision. So they had the, you know, the suits come down to the parking area, and I really wanted a 25-foot shark. So I had my art department draw a 20-foot shark and a 30-foot shark. And this is so funny because they come in, oh yeah, 20 doesn't look so good. You know, they do have 20-foot. 30 looks awful big. Now, how about 25? Yeah, good idea. Good idea. So we did a 25. And it was their decision. So they couldn't complain later. Oh, you made it too big, you did it. All right, where are we? Okay, there's just size relationship. Then we got into the technical drawings. And Frank Worms did this. I was so lucky because in the drafting room, at the studios, you had big drafting rooms with illustrators, great illustrators. You had great drafting people. He was a guy from Lockheed that decided to work in movies. And so Frank was fantastic. And so Frank and Bob Mandy got. This was actually not used. Jaws 1 did it right here. We only had one arm. Okay, am I through this? Because I'll tell the story. Because I could talk about this. Oh, that's the armature. And that's me. That's my 70s clothes. I bought that. It's cool, huh? Bell bottoms. And that's a little sculpture. There's, oh yeah. John Chandler, he's dead now. And look at that, it was all clay, man. It was just, and that I borrowed from the Steinhardt Oceanographical Institute in San Francisco. They gave it to me for the first show. The second show they start charging. And we will use it in the movie, I'll show you. Okay, so we'll just stop for now. So what happened is I had these drawings, and I went up to Marshall Green, who was the head of production at Universal. Very nice guy. And so we had the head of camera, art department, special effects, editing, production, Seneca Brown, and Mr. Young Spielberg was there. And so I was giving them, I was talking, you know, and the shark does this, and they're all just listening to me. And when it was over, Marshall turned to the effects department. Punky and Arnold Ernest were the head of special effects. Punky was very vocal. He said, "No, we can't do that. We can't make that thing. It's never been done. It'd take a year and a half, 2 years. You know, it's just too complicated. Besides, we have more important films." He just shot his mouth off, like Earthquake and the Hindenburg. And Marshall went, "Jaws could be a bigger picture than the Hindenburg." And everybody laughed, you know. So I'm collecting my drawings, and everybody leaves, calls me back. "Joe, can you build a shark?" And what am I going to say? Yeah, I built a shark. So I went out. It was interesting about Marshall. He's very sympathetic. He lives on a boat. So now I'm talking to a guy who lives on a boat. So he's like, "Let's make that movie." So I started looking around. I went to Disney. Disney said, "Yeah, we made a whale, but we're not taking it on location. You know, we did a, okay." And a number of top effects guys said, "You're talking about a year and a half. We're talking about experimenting. We're talking about water. We talk, you know, a lot of stuff." Okay. And someone said, "Well, how about Bob Mandy? He did this giant squid in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea." So I met this guy. He's about 65. He's so enthusiastic. "Oh yeah, we could do, you know." Boom. Okay. We need a team. Call them the Magnificent Seven, because we got Roy Arbogast, who was making breakaway bottles, and this guy was an expert on the new plastics and things. And we needed a plastic that would move but not crack, and you know, blah blah blah. Richie Helmer did the electronics, and the Wood Brothers did the welding. So I've got 6 guys. We had our Magnificent Seven. Then I started working on the model of the shark. I also, in the meantime, ran off this small movie. I scouted all of the East Coast. I met with Peter Benchley. I said, "Where'd you shoot this?" He said, "Oh, Montauk, this and that." I said, "How about these islands?" And he says, "Oh yeah, here's Nantucket." My parents live there. Nathaniel Benchley, who wrote The Russians Are Coming. Go see them. I said, "What about this island, Martha's Vineyard?" "Oh, no, there's nothing there." So anyway, I was also looking for a bay, because I needed 25 feet with a very small tide change, because you know, you've seen that mechanical thing. It would float out and then we would sink it at a certain level. And so you don't, with the shark coming up, you don't want the tide to go up here or down here. So I scouted. I was heading to Nantucket to see his parents, to go get cream cheese sandwiches, because that's what they said they make great cream cheese sandwiches. And she did. But anyway, it was so rough, the boat came back. And so I'm on the shore at Woods Hole, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, here's a boat to Martha's Vineyard. You know, I'll go there. So I went there. And I'm looking at beaches in the winter. This December 17th, because the guy that wrote the book on Martha's Vineyard, Jaws, saying, nailed it down because I told him that was the year that O.J. Simpson ran for 200 yards to set the record for, it was like interesting to pin these things down. These guys are research, know how to do it. Anyway, so I drove around Martha's Vineyard and I couldn't believe it. Edgartown was perfect. Menemsha was an old fishing village, and there was a bay out there. It was 25 feet, I checked the thing. So we're all good. Now, this was December. Bob had put his team together. Marshall had made it very specific. Take it off the studio lot, have nothing to do with the studio. It's a total independent endeavor. So there was a caterer, Raleigh Hopper, that had a huge facility. So we went there in Sutherland, and they started putting together their team and started the Shark. But I mean, they had just the beginning of it. So that was November, December. The book came out in January of '74. And it was such a success that the studio said, we have to start shooting by April. What? This year, April? And Steven got it, well, maybe May. What? So, where's our year and a half? This is my defense of Bruce, is Bob and his team worked so hard, 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. They got the thing to move, they shipped it back east, and we found a place to put it all together. And they had so much to do, check the mechanics, test it, this and that. We shot everything we could without the Shark. We shot barrels, we shot different things. And then we had nothing left to shoot. So I would do this. I would be coordinating between Bob, what do you got, Bob? What's ready? And Steven. And so Steven and I sat down. I did about 250 storyboards. I mean, as I was an art director, I was supposed to do occasionally. They're supposed to hire a storyboard artists to do it, but they do too cheap. Joe will do it. So I ended up owning those too because nobody would admit that I did it. Which I sell them. That's why I was selling these here. Okay, it worked out good. Anyway, and I'm going to show you that. So what happened basically is we had the left to right Shark, the right to left Shark, and the reason they went this way because the other side that you don't see had a big hole, so they could get there and fix the Shark. And then we had the Shark on the actual rig, which had like a track and a crane arm. I tell Steven, okay, we're going to do left to right Shark. We look at the boards, say, okay, hundreds of them. Okay, this is left to right Shark, okay. If it works, we shoot it. Okay, we got it. If it doesn't, so we did a great shot. The first shot, it comes under like this and it goes by. Wow, it was fantastic. And that's the way it went. But then salt water has a way of getting into electronics and eating things away. And so as the shooting went on, we also had, when I scouted it, it was winter and there was nobody out there. Well, in July, suddenly from our hiatus, there was just boats all over. We had to scoop them away, and the water was rough. But they kept taking, well, everybody blamed the Shark. Oh, the reason we're always, it's the Shark, it's the Shark, it's the Shark. And even Steven did it later, which sort of upset me because he knew the guys were working so hard. And so here's, I'll explain about doing an animatic because we didn't have it back then. I'm just showing you on this little piece of film how tight we had to shoot the storyboards. We didn't have scenes, sequences, anything. We were shooting board 240 to 230 or 250, and the Shark would do this, and that would be our day's shoot. And Mr. Zanuck got so excited because when we got the shot, he'd come in, we had all the boards in the production office, copies, and he, oh, red market, we got this. So it went on, but it was a very, very tight shoot. Steven couldn't get there and say, oh, I want to do this. He pretty much had to do the sketches. He could move the camera a little bit, a little bit of freedom, but it was a disciplined shoot, which I think little directors today could use a little bit of discipline like that, because they tend to go over budget, and they could fix it in CGI. Well, we couldn't fix it in CGI because we didn't have CGI. You had to shoot. So anyway, let's look at this thing. Get out of the way. There's a shark.
The third act of Jaws was really developed in the storyboards. Because it took a day in advance to set up the various sharks for shooting, we had to plan the shots very carefully. Animatics and pre-visualizations are used a lot today in the planning of action sequences. With computers and new editing equipment makes it possible. But it wasn't back then. So I took my own rough sketches and did an animatic 25 years later to show how it could have worked for us. Quit. No. You getting on board? Hey. What day is this? It's Wednesday. It's Tuesday, I think.
Well, I just want to say I think the shark did work. So that's it.